right, guys. Welcome to Tuesday in the Trenches. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Michael.
Tonight we're going to discuss playing time. And let me get to our article here. So Coach Glenn this week, he wrote an article called Dealing with Lack of Playing Time. And we're just going to discuss some things that things that you need to think about when you're dealing with, feeling like you're not getting enough playing time, and maybe you're not, but there are things to consider. And I think sometimes, like on the field, emotions get to us. Sometimes off the field, they get to us just as much. And we have to be able to deal with that and understand what's happening, and know that generally our coaches are going to have your best interest at heart, and know that there's a reason. There's generally always a reason. So we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight.
Yeah, the thing in getting the question from the mom about her son's playing time, and the specific question was, he had played really, really well in his JV game, sophomore game, and played both offense, defensively, and was actually invited up to the varsity level game and got to suit up and watch the game. All the kids went in. The game was a blowout, and so the coach was putting all the coaches in, and he did not actually go into the game. So mom and him posed the question to me, do I think that they should talk to the coach? Do I think that, he should be upset about it, and so forth and so on? I said, we really can't control a lot of times our feelings. We can control our actions. And I said, what I've learned over the years is that all the sports that I played, obviously the goal is to play a lot. And you want to be a starter. You want to be one of the guys or the girls in the game that's playing a lot. And there are times where maybe you think you should play more. Maybe you have an opportunity like he did, where he was invited up to the game but then didn't go in. And with those feelings, what can happen is you can have fans, you can have coaches, you can have parents, you can have other players dictate or tell you things that are going to make you upset. And the best advice that I could give, that I could come up with, is you take that information or that anger or that disappointment and you put it right here on your shoulder, so I can see it right here. And basically this is what they call a chip on your shoulder. And you put it there and you keep it there. And why you keep it there is, when you're in an off season or when you're in a practice that you're feeling like you don't really want to give a lot, or you're tired or whatever, you just reach over here and I would just pat my shoulder and say, okay, all right, I remember that coach not putting me in, or I remember that fan saying something, that I wasn't good enough, or I remember a coach when I would ask him a question, what can I do to better? And he'd kind of blow me off, or I would look at him with, like, I remember looking at coaches going, do you see me? Do you see how good I'm doing? And they'd kind of not even give me a look, and it'd be like, oh, it would just kill me. It's like, I'm giving everything I got, and here now I'm not even getting recognition, or I'm not getting, some kind of feedback from the coach. And all those things you want to take and just put them right on your shoulder as a chip. And so when I'm in the weight room and I'm having a hard time lifting some weights, and I think, okay, remember when you felt like crap when that coach didn't look at you with approval. Take all of those things and you kind of build up a little thing that says, all right, now I'm going to work harder. And the one thing that I do know, of all the years that I played football and all the years I've coached, the guys that worked the hardest were the guys that typically got to play the most. They were typically the ones that coaches looked at, and they were typically the ones that got to become stars. It's very difficult in the game of football or most sports to be a great player without working hard. So whatever you can use to make yourself work harder, take advantage of that. And so as a parent, I told her, I said, listen, here's what you do is you support your son by telling him, hey, we're so proud of you for how you did in the JV game. Yeah, you probably deserved to get in. However, you're only a sophomore. Be grateful that you got to dress, because think of all the kids that are on the sophomore level that are wishing they could be on the sidelines of a varsity game with all the fans and with all the cool stuff that happens in a high school game. So switch the anger and the disappointment into a chip on your shoulder and then being grateful for the opportunity that you got.
Cool. Well said, Coach. Very well said.
So yeah, so we went through and basically I found an article that really I thought expressed my feelings and my thoughts on playing time really, really well. And it was from a guy named Thomas Emma, and he's a basketball coach. And so he was talking about basketball, but these 8 strategies, I think, fit everything that I could think of when it came to playing time. And I looked up a bunch of articles, and there was a lot of really good stuff on the internet that you can find about playing time. But these were 8 really good strategies that I found.
Cool. Well, the first one that Coach mentions here is ask Coach. And, I think that's a good place to start, because if you're always wondering, why, many times all you really have to do is ask, and your coach should tell you. I think you can get a real good idea from your coach on why you're not playing. So you want to make sure you start by asking your coach, and there are certain ways that you can do that. It's tough. It's not easy to step up and ask a coach that. How would you suggest a player does that, Coach?
Well, I would be a little bit careful myself personally as a coach, because I think when you ask them about playing time, the only reason you're asking is because you're not getting enough. So
yeah.
What'll typically, I think, happen when you ask about playing time is you're kind of in a way putting down what the coach's decision about playing time is. So what I would suggest is the better question to ask, and I think asking is a very important thing, but ask, what can I do better to play? What are the things that you see that I'm not doing that I can do better at? That way, then you're opening the door to not really basically kind of, because coaches get asked by parents, by players, by everything, all kinds of stuff that really, it's hard for a coach to say, because you suck. I'm not playing you because you suck. And they don't want to say that. But what they will say is, if you come up to them and say, hey, you know what, if a kid comes up to me and says, what can I do to be better? Well, I'm going to say, you know what, in the off seasons, you definitely have to lift a lot more. But because it's not the off season right now, you've got to work on this step, or you got to work on this punch, or you got to work on this technique. And you work on that really, really hard. I'm going to see that you're going to get better, and that will increase your playing chances.
Yeah, and I think Coach makes a good point there, and that's why I asked him. You don't want to just say, "Hey, why am I not playing?"
Right.
All right. That's not the way to go about it. The way to go about it is, and whether you're a player or a parent, ask, what can I do to get better? What can my kid do to get better? What are the things they need to be working on? I think a lot of times, as a parent, and I'm a parent who obviously is played a lot of sports, I've watched a lot of sports, and when I watch my kids play, I still don't always understand what it is they need to be doing, especially if they're, like my daughter is a basketball player. I don't know basketball. I played basketball for a lot of years, loved it. I wasn't that good. I was a football player on the basketball court, but I loved to play. I understood the game. I know how to coach it a little bit, but at her level, she's an eighth grader now. She needs somebody that's a little more advanced to let her know these are the things you need to be doing. So I encourage her to ask her coach, because I'm not going to go out and coach her in the driveway when she's got a coach that should be, giving her at least direction on what she should be working on the most.
Right.
Because I can't evaluate that, and most parents won't be able to evaluate that in football or in whatever sport your kid's in, unless you played at a high level. And honestly, unless you've coached, it can be difficult as a parent to say, this is what you need to do. That's why you have a coach. So always ask that coach, what can you do to get better?
Right.
And a lot of times, if you're really listening in a practice and all the opportunities that you get in practices and games, your coaches are often telling you the things that you need to be better at. So make sure that you start by being a good listener to how you're being coached, okay? And then if you still don't get it, then you need to ask. Just ask, what can I do to get better? You know, and a lot of times it's one or two things that a coach is going to give you to focus on. So when we say ask coach, that's we don't ask, why am I not playing? Ask, what can I do better?
And I think, and we got a lot of these to go through, so we're going to do it kind of quickly, but this is an important one. And I think the other thing is a lot of times the time to ask the coach is not right after a loss or during a really busy season. Ask them a lot in the off season, because if you can go show him in the off season that you're willing and ready to learn to get better, I think you're going to have a better chance in the season. Number 2 was to work harder and keep working. And I think we kind of went over that earlier. So I'm going to skip over that one. The third one, which I think is important, is to always remain engaged and ready emotionally. Football, I saw it happen in the NFL. I saw it happen at Madison, and I even saw it in high school. Football is a game where momentum, injury, different things can happen at the drop of a dime. And if you're not ready and you get your chance and you don't make the best of it, a lot of times that can really kind of set your next several games, weeks, months, sometimes years, sometimes career. I saw guys that, got an opportunity in the NFL. They went in and they blew it and they were done. I mean, they were done. It's like that week they got cut and it was like, see you later. So it can happen really quick. So what you really need to do is as Steve said earlier, pay attention. Listen to what the coaches are saying. And it's very hard sometimes when it's hot or cold and you're out of practice and it's been a long practice or whatever, and you're not really listening to what the coaches are saying. You're kind of joking with your friends, or you're thinking about the girl at school, or you're thinking about the homework you didn't get done or whatever. You got to figure out how to engage the brain to listen and to be ready emotionally, because football is an emotional game. And if you don't have your emotions ready to go at the drop of a dime, a lot of times you're going to miss out.
Well, and another thing I'll add to that, Coach, too, is, in practice, but in games, you're not sitting at the end of the bench. You're not at the other end of the field if you're on offense, and the offense is down on that end and you're on the other end and you're taking a knee and you're sulking because you're not playing. Guess what? I'm going to the next guy.
Right.
If I'm the coach, I don't care if you're better than somebody else. I'm going to the next guy. So always be engaged in the game. Be ready, because, guys, the coach is right. It happens very quickly. An injury happens in a matter of seconds, and boom, you're in the game. You got to be playing.
Right.
So don't be that guy that sulks on a knee or on the end of the bench. Be into the game. Be ready. Support your teammates. Be a good teammate, because that makes a big difference too.
I think the next one is very important, and it's a difficult one, and that is to keep it quiet. Whenever we have a complaint, and this is in the business world, it's in the social world, it's in the athletic world. When we have a complaint, it's very easy and natural for us to go and complain to other people. The problem with that is when you're complaining, you're bringing in negativity into a team atmosphere, and it can cause a ripple effect that can really deteriorate and wreck a team in a hurry. So I suggest find a mentor, find a parent, find a coach, find somebody that you really trust that you can go up to when you have a complaint or when you have an issue, especially regarding playing time. Find somebody you can talk to and say, man, I am so frustrated that I'm not playing. And, I feel like I want to just blow up. I want to scream at all the coaches, or I want to scream at the other players, or, I find myself in the background ripping on coaches or talking about this or talking about players, or that player he's no good. Well, become an encourager instead of a discourager, and start trying to encourage everyone around you, including yourself, and keep your complaints to a minimum. I just think it's a team game, and I think it's really important that you keep it quiet. And it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, it is, guys, and you also you need to keep in mind that when you're saying those things, everybody's going to hear it.
Mhm.
Okay. You might be saying it to 2 or 3 of your best buddies, but somebody else overhears, a coach walks by. Those things, if you're going to be that guy that's saying those things, it's going to get back to the coach.
Mhm.
All right. Your coach is going to hear it one way or another. So don't be that sulker. Don't be that complainer. Be a good teammate and be ready to play.
Yep. Number 5, commit to traversing the razor's edge of being a good teammate. Now, this is true in school, in life, and at workplace. A lot of times you'll get the phrase, suck up or kiss ass or, goody two shoes or whatever. I don't know what all the new terms are now, but the thing is about being a good teammate is that will carry you much, much further in life than being a popular, cool kid. And I see it happen all the time where, you want to be popular more than you want to be right or more than you want to be positive. And I think this right here can really be an important part of a life skill that I think everyone, if they take advantage of it, will do better in their future. And that is to learn how to be a good teammate.
Yeah, guys, so important. It's so important to be a good teammate. And it makes a huge difference. And coaches see that too. They don't just look at how you play. They look at how you interact on a team. They look at how you fit with the team, and they look about what you can do for others and how you can contribute to the team. And that all factors in to whether or not you play. So
Correct.
Keep that in mind, guys.
Now, this is a big one. Number 6 is always maintain passion for the game. Any sport I was ever in, there's always a period of time during the season or during, off season that sometimes it's like, I don't really feel like doing this, or I'm tired, or, maybe I got an injury that's bugging me, or maybe there's, you're on a losing team. And so it's really difficult to really find the joy in the game. If winning's the only thing that you care about, where I think this is where it's important. And I see a lot of players over the years who it's very obvious that they're passionate about the game. They love the game. And I've seen kids, and it was very cool that I ran into a former player at one of my daughter's basketball games. And this guy was amazing. He didn't play very much, but he was the number one guy that we had troubles with as an offensive lineman. He's a defensive lineman, and he's on the scout team mostly. And amazing player. He was just undersized. He had the passion, he had the drive, he had everything. And every single day that we went out there, this guy was 100% and going. And he didn't ever play, but he had a blast. I mean, his joy was to beat us and in practice and listen to us get yelled at by the coach. And that was his passion that made him happy. And I see a lot of kids that are out for football that want to be great football players, but they don't have the passion for the game and the work that you have to put in. So maintaining and building your passion is about finding why you're playing the game. Do you love the competition? Do you love the physical part of it? Do you love the mental part of it? Do you love the teammate part of it? What is it? I can tell you this guy, his name is Jeff. Jeff loved the teammates. He was a great guy. Everybody loved him. He enjoyed being on the field with us. He enjoyed when he finally got to travel, going on the trips and all that kind of stuff. That's where the passion is. And you have to keep that passion if you want to get better. And if you're not playing, it's very difficult sometimes to find that passion. But find it in the little things. When you beat somebody that you're not supposed to beat, or when you have a coach, going over and over and over the same thing and you finally get it, really pay attention to that and make sure that you feel good about that that you did those things, because there's no question it can be difficult to maintain your passion.
Yeah. And I think you really need to lean on teammates.
Yep.
And again, go back to what we pointed out early, being a great teammate. Because that, to me, my passion for the game came up with being around all of my teammates and being a part of a team and a group especially as a lineman, as an offensive lineman, being in a very tight group that always had each other's back. And, there are always times when you don't feel like playing.
Right.
Everybody has that. I don't care who you are, but you got to find a way to, lift up and be lifted up by others and do your part to lift others up as well.
Right. Yep. The next one, helping your direct competition as best you can. I think tonight it was interesting. My daughter had a game, and they had a girl actually from Mukwonago that was like, she said she was 6 feet tall, and she might be, I don't know. I wasn't at the game, but she said she was very tall and was a very good basketball player. And one of the things when I was thinking about the talking tonight and these 8 strategies was, she said that the girl rolled her ankle and was out of the game, and all her teammates were extremely happy. And I wanted to say, yeah, I get that, because she's a great player, but at the same time, don't you want to beat the best? Don't you want to build your game so that you are at the best? It's not just about winning, because if you win and the team plays terrible or the team gets hurt or, whatever, it doesn't feel near as good as if you're going, like I remember, in my day, we didn't have we went to a couple bowl games, but they were minor bowl games, and we had a couple losing records. But I can tell you there was a couple times in there where we beat the team that was the number 1 team in the nation. And that is, there is just nothing better than beating someone who is great. And when we beat, I think it was once was Michigan and once was Ohio State, they were number 1 in the whole entire nation, and we weren't even ranked, and we came in and beat them. That's an awesome feeling. And so I think you want to build up your competition, try and find the best players, try and compete with the best people, and watch your teammates become greater and become better. And sometimes guys will get better quicker than you. Don't get down on it. Feel good about it, and it helps you to then become a better player as well.
Yeah, for sure. Because, that's when I think about, helping your competition. I'm thinking about if there's a person that's in front of you at your position, and he's a 1, you're a 2, that competition is really important, because it's going to make both of you better.
Right.
And I've seen guys that were starters that were passed up by their backups. It happens all the time. And it maybe right.
Hornibrook's that now, yeah.
Right. I mean, that's a perfect example. I mean, a little hiccup here, a little twisted ankle. Maybe the guy's not feeling good one day, and you pop in there, and because you guys have been battling and working hard, you're making each other better.
Right. And
it only makes your team better, which obviously, guys, that's our goal, is to make our team better. Correct. And by you competing, especially with whoever your main competition is at your position, is going to it's only going to make you better. So.
And the last one, number 8, is take this opportunity to release from self-absorption. And I really think that being a team player, being someone who is selfless, being someone who, and this is something I've had to learn over time, and especially the last, I'd say 5 to 10 years, it's been really a challenge, and it's been something that I've had to look at, and that is really to play for a greater good. And the greater good is not yourself. The greater good is about helping others. The greater good is about lifting up teams. It's about, if I give and I give and I give, I'm going to get back tenfold of what I'm giving. So focus on giving instead of getting. In other words, focus on what is it that I can do for the team, because in the long run and in the end, you're going to get back way more than you gave. And I think that, you see a lot of players that are great, talented players fade out pretty quickly. And one of the reasons is because it's I, me, my. They're only thinking about themselves. And eventually that's going to wear out. And that's going to make it so they're not a team player. And believe me, especially in the NFL, but even down at high school levels, if you're one of those guys that is creating dissension, or guys are like sick of hearing about how great they are, et cetera, they're not going to be helping you as much. So becoming a selfless player, a team player, by being the best person you can be and by giving everything you can get, the rewards are tremendous. And they may not come right away, but down the road and looking back on a lot of the things that I did, I can say I feel really bad because I was very selfish and I was all about me. At times, other times I was very selfless and was all about the team. And I feel much, much better about being that kind of a person than the other kind of person. So I think the more as a young person can learn how to be a selfless player and really focus on how can I help people all around them. You know, I love watching things where teams go to the hospital and help out kids with disabilities. I love seeing players that will build up somebody that's like hurting, like maybe they lost their father, or maybe they, you know, their girlfriend broke up with them, or maybe they just have had a run of bad luck, and you see these guys gather around them and kind of help them to do better. Those are ways that even if you're not getting playing time, you can be a huge part of the team. You know, you can be someone that, like this Jeff that I was talking about, or, you know, I've seen a lot of high school kids that are like, people love them. They're not very good at football, but because they're on the team, they're a part of the team and they're giving themselves selflessly for the team and helping out however they can. The last thing with this is that, you know, adversity, tragedy, curveballs, all these kinds of things happen so much in life, but they really happen a lot in football. And I think the more you can be focused on the bigger picture, the team concept, all of that, the easier and the quicker you're going to be able to get through a lot of this adversity that you're going to go
and
through.
guys, one thing that I heard recently, something completely unrelated to sports, but it's somebody that I've followed a little bit from a business standpoint, and he always tries to live 51%. Okay, and 51% means he's always working, no matter what he does, no matter what it is, life, business. I would take it into sports. Always be, you know, in any relationship, you're 51%. You know, you're striving to give more than you get. Okay, you're always striving to give more, no matter what it takes. You're going to be 51%, always. You know, and that you could go a step further and just say +1. You know, I know that's a big. I've seen teams use that, and that's what I think of when I think about relationships now, whether it be with my family, with my friends, in business. You know, how can I give more in this relationship? How can I be the 51%? You know, and always striving to be that. So always strive to be that person that gives more than you get, for sure.
I love that, because, you know, I've always heard people say give 110%. Well, you can't give more than 100%.
Right.
But you can give 51%. So if you give 51% to the team, that's giving more than your share that you need to. So I love that a lot. That's way better than saying give 110.
Right. All right, cool. Well, guys, I think we're going to try and wrap it up here now. Thanks for joining us tonight. We still have memberships available on TrendsTraining.com. I had that screen up earlier. There's that big yellow button that says register today. If you are not registered, make sure you get registered. There's free content in there. I think you're going to like it. We also have a private Facebook page. So when you become a member, you get access to that private page. We're trying to grow this community, and it is growing. So we want to make sure we're letting everybody know about what we've got going on. We've got new things coming up in the near future. We're looking at some online training memberships down the road. We're also just put together all our dates for our winter training sessions here in New Berlin and down also in the Rockton Roscoe area. Those are up on our website under, I believe they are under, I think I showed this before, but they're under training sessions. and then winter training sessions. You can at least see the dates there. We're going to stick with the same location up here in New Berlin for now. Correct, Coach? Have we confirmed that yet? Or I think
we've confirmed it for there, but there's also a couple other places we're looking at.
So
well.
we'll have locations. We just want to make sure we get the dates out there so everybody knows what they are. We're starting a little bit earlier with our winter sessions. We're going to start in that first week of December, do 3 weeks, take a couple weeks off, and then we'll finish up in the first part of next year. And then we're going to do a 12-week session in the spring. So that's our plan for training sessions here in the off season. And we've got more things coming up in the spring and in the summer. We're hoping to get some guests on here so we can bring in some fresh faces so you aren't looking at these two mugs anymore any more than you have to. So we'll bring in some outside talented people and some other coaches that can give us their opinions on some of these topics that we're talking about. So again, thanks for joining us tonight, guys, at Tuesday in the Trenches. Make sure you have a great week. Have a great game. If you are a player and you've got a game this week, have a great game. Parents, be good. Have fun watching them. Make sure you say those magic words of "I love to watch you play." All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Make sure you play big. Bye-bye.
Play big.